All right, so we have more people joining in. It's now 7 o'clock by my time. We'll give people 3 more minutes to join in before we proceed.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello.
All right, so before more people join in, briefly, we'll do a quick check-in with everyone, like we normally do, just to ensure that everyone within the community is fine. So I would ask how you've been, how your month has been. Are you okay? Are you not okay? Feel free to share. So I'll be calling people I can see on my list. All right. So I can see Umfamabong. Umfamabong, it's been a while. Nice to have you back with us. How have you been? Hi, Willie. Can you hear us? If you're speaking, you're muted. All right. So while we wait for Willie, I'm going to move on to Ogolua. Ogo, it's been a while. How have you been? Are you okay? Are you fine?
Hi Dara, good evening. Hi everyone, good evening. I've been surviving. I've been surviving, but it's been all right. Some days quite okay, and most days you're like, what sent me this? But keep pushing. But yeah, I've been good. I hope you've been good as well.
Yes, I have. Thank you very much. We'll take a couple of people more. Praise, how have you been? Okay, while we wait for praise because of time, Sean Fumi Bolarinwa, how have you been? Hi, Sean.
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Dara.
All right, great. Great to hear from you, Cheryl. Okay, we'll take one more person, right? Before we proceed. Let me see. Donald Peters, how are you doing?
Hi, good evening. I'm doing very well. Yeah, very regular day, nothing is really going on.
All right. Okay, that's good. Good, good. Good that everyone is fine. Welcome everyone to today's virtual hangout. This session is hosted by Tech Sales and Partnerships Community. Like the name implies, we're a community for people in tech sales, business development, partnerships, basically tech commercial roles, right? We cater to people like that. We provide support for people in these roles. So welcome to today's session. Today's session is powered by IBS Consulting. Um, I have Shukai on the call all the way from Ghana. She'll be telling us more about what IBS Consulting is and how we can benefit from it. So once we have more people on the call, I will call her up to speak about that. So yes, we have Ibifaa on the call with us this evening. She's going to be our speaker. Hi Ibifaa, how are you doing? It's nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you, Dara. It'd be nice to see some faces, though. It's okay.
Yes, please, if you can turn on your camera. I mean, this session is for us to get to know one another better as well. So if you're in a space where you can quickly turn on your camera, would like to see your faces as well to interact with you. So all right, please give me a minute. All right, great. Welcome back again, everyone. A bit about our speaker today. Ibifaa, it's nice to have you here with us. Ibifaa is currently the commercials lead at PayU. Before that, she's done amazing work at incredible places like Interswitch, MetaMap, Fincra. She was the head of sales at Fincra. She was an account manager at MetaMap, and she grew through a rank of roles at Interswitch over a period of about 6 years thereabouts. But it's great to have her. One of the reasons we brought her on this session is because there's been a sort of system to our career growth, which we all can learn from on this call. And recently, someone made a post on X, on Twitter, that sort of caught my attention. And the person was talking about how tech sales is typically the last resort for a lot of people. Well, there might be some iota of truth in that, but that really shouldn't be the case because there are lots of opportunities for growth in tech sales as a whole. So that is what we're going to be exploring today. We're going to be talking about the growth opportunities in tech sales, and Ibifaa is like a great person to discuss this with because firsthand, she has experienced this and she's living this. So Ibifaa, it's nice to have you on here with us. Would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Everyone, my name is Ibifaa Maclayton. From River State, but I live in Lagos. I pretty much started my sales career over 10 years ago. Of course, starting from Interswitch and transitioning through the different sales life cycle, like if I can put it that way. And so far, so good. It's been an interesting journey. Starting off from an entry-level employee, being much of like a you can say, very clueless on the role, right? And just transition through the different obstacles, successes that has led me to being a commercial lead now at PayU. So far, it's been an interesting 10 years journey in tech sales. So, if anybody has questions for me, I think this is supposed to be like an interactive session.
Yeah, it's going to be an interactive session. We typically would have like people asking questions in between, right? I will be asking you most of the questions. So, for people who have questions in between, they could always raise their hands up, and then I'll bring them up to stage to ask their questions. So I think first of all, start by how you got into tech sales. Really, did you find yourself in it? Was it something you were more intentional about? Like, I want to walk in this career path, or did you just find yourself in it? You saw a role, you applied for it, and you found yourself in the role.
So my journey was actually very interesting because so it kind of resonates with what you mentioned earlier regarding the person that was that posted something on X. So in my case, it seemed like a last resort, but not exactly, right? Right from school, I wasn't really a social person. I wasn't a person that would speak up in class or try to like champion a conversation or lead a conversation, right? And at the time I left school, finished NYC and all of that. I needed a job being a Nigerian, right? And I had the opportunity to join Interswitch. A role opened up within the sales team, right? And at the time, that was like the available role, right? And the opportunity that was presented before me. And I saw it as, okay, this is an opportunity to get into the company, right? And try and see how I can work my way through the system and transition into something that I could actually do. Because what I knew about sales was, oh, you have high targets. It's a very high driven department, right? So you meet your numbers, you get promoted. You don't meet your numbers, you're on the chopping block. I didn't want to. I didn't want to go through that, right? I was like, okay, I've always wanted to be in Interswitch. I've always wanted to work here. Let me get in and find a way to go into something else. But somehow I joined Interswitch and it just became an interesting ride for me, right? So being led by people at the time that could guide me, right, direct me, and ensure that I build on the necessary skill set that is expected of a salesperson. Right. So ideally for me, it wasn't, oh, I wanted to be here. It was like a last resort thing.
You found
But
yourself there, yeah.
yeah, but somehow I just ended up loving it and just saw it as something that I could actually do and I could actually be good at. Right. And I mean, 10 years in, still doing it on different capacities. So here we are.
Oh, great. At what point did you realize that, okay, this was something I wanted to do? So it stopped being, I stumbled on it to, I actually want to go in this path. At what point was that for you?
I would say when I realized that, okay, I like it here was when I started making revenue for the company, right? So there's this joy that comes when you're able to close a deal, right? And you're not just closing a deal, you're solving a problem, right? So you talk to a prospect, right? And you're able to listen to them, right? Identify their problems and come up with a solution tailored to your product offering, right? So seeing that transition from conversations, emails to actual real life, like you sell a product that people are actually using, right? It's product that people are actually benefiting from and there's revenue coming out from it, right? Not just revenue for, of course, you have your sales quota for the company or for yourself, because those commissions can be interesting, right? You're also seeing the company you sold to optimizing what you have delivered to them, right? And just it's just that joy that comes with it and the relationship that you build from those engagements, right? So I just ended up loving it. It became like a daily, like part of my daily life, right? Some people say, oh, when I close at 5, I get over at 5, I close my laptop and I move on. If you're in sales, it's not exactly the case because you see yourself selling in different places, right? Interesting environment on the job, social settings, social cycles and all of that. So it's just been a thing that's just been part of me, and I don't think I would have really been successful anywhere else, right? I think I would have been bored anywhere else. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. So how would you say your role has changed over the years? I mean, you've gone from, again, like you said, from entry level to now being the commercial lead at PayU. So how has your role changed? What are the dynamics with, going through the ranks in tech sales?
So I've had an interesting journey, right? So when you look at being in a revenue team, right? So ideally, there is the SDRs, which are the sales development reps or BDLs, like some organizations call them. And then there is the account executive or account management team and the partnership team. Some companies have them intertwined. You can be one person doing all of them. Well, in my case, I've had opportunity to grow from being that cold caller, prospecting, building a pipeline, a healthy pipeline, right, into actually closing those deals, closing those sales, and also building those relationships, right? So for me, it has been a trajectory, right? Getting to an organization where you have to build your pipe. Nobody's going to hand pipe to you, right? So
Yeah.
you have to go out there and hunt, right? And you have to nurture your leads, right? Close them and also manage that relationship, right? So for me, what has actually worked is understanding where my strengths are, right? And just taking advantage of it and building up on it. So my entire journey or how I've been able to transition, right? Of course, I hated cold calling. I don't want to just call someone and say hi to you and like have 10, 20 seconds of the time to get your attention, right? But of course, you have to do it in some cases,
Yeah.
right? just building up on that and just going into an environment where you now become an actual closer, right? And nurture those conversations and lead them to closing an opportunity. So for me, in some people's cases, they probably did not have the opportunity to build those skill sets. They just went straight into partnerships, or they just get stuck in being a cold caller, lead generator, or whatever it is, right? So I had the opportunity to go through, right? And in the process, I identified my skill, what I was good at, nurtured it, and just pivoted through that journey.
Oh, great, great. That's interesting. So, what would you say that your today as a commercial leader PayU? Would you say you do more of BD? Would you say you do more of business strategy? Would you say you do more of partnerships? Would you say you do more of sales?
I do everything.
Okay.
I do everything. Of course, less of cold calling, right? Way less of cold calling. So I'm on a level where it's more on consultative selling for me, right? Partnerships, relationship building, right? So I'm at the point where I know my target markets, I know my audience, right? It's not everybody that I will sell my product to, my solution to, right? So I have a niche of enterprise businesses, right? So I identify them, and before I can identify them, there has to be some level of research, right? In terms of what are their problems right now, right? What are they looking to solve right now, and how can my product solve that problem for them? So it's a case of being like a consultant, right? Going in there, understanding what currently works for them, right? Identifying their current problems and pitching what you believe will solve that problem. So you're doing everything for them, right? So I'm at the point where it's like every merchant I engage now, or every partner I work with, I'm like a member of their team, right? So it's like I work for PayU, right, as a commercial lead, but I'm working with like a million other businesses, right? So that's just how it has been for me, and that's why I say I'm everywhere, I'm for everybody, and I do everything, because you have to research, right? You have to nurture that relationship, build that relationship, get them to trust you and see you as part of them, because that's the best way to actually not just sell, right, but also grow with your clients, right? So there can always be repeat business for you. And market insights. Nobody's going to give you market insight except your clients, right? So
All right, thank you very much, Ibifaa. So bringing it down to people on the call who are typically looking for opportunities to explore within tech sales, right? How would you define sales from BD to partnerships? And what would you say the level of fluidity in pivoting into these roles could be? Take, for instance, someone like me in my journey, I started out with partnerships or partnerships. And from there, I moved into sales. And then I moved into enterprise sales. And then I moved into a bit of sales and BD, but some companies tend to combine both together. And then I moved to Interswitch, where I was doing core BD, right? Not sales, just core BD. So I believe that there's a level of fluidity within these roles. If you were to talk to people about, how fluid it can be and what the distinction between each role would be, how would you explain that?
okay, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
So first of all, there are certain fintechs, right, or product-led companies that they have different approaches to sales, right, or growth team, like some organizations call it, right? Some people have different levels to sales, which is some businesses have SDRs, which are sales development relationship managers, BDRs. Some people have the AEs, the account managers, then partnerships, right? Now, the difference, the SDRs are pretty much cold callers. They're the ones that focus on building a pipe, they don't necessarily have a sales target. Their target is really based on, okay, you identify this market, this prospects, nurture it, and pass it on to the AEs or the account managers, right? Now, an account manager or an account executive is a closer, right? So an SDR identified the prospect, has nurtured it, and identified that, okay, there's a use case here, right? Or there's a business need here, and an as account executive goes in there and closes the deal or closes the sale, right? Now, a partnership manager essentially is more like a strategic thinker, right? It's someone that identifies long-term relationships and long-term businesses, right? So when you think of a partnership manager, you think of someone who works closely with like channel partners, resellers, or aggregators, right? So understanding, sometimes it's important for you to understand where you want to fit in the entire sales journey, right? If you're a newbie in tech sales, it's always advisable to start with the SDR role, which is the cold caller. It's for me, I see it as an uncomfortable role, right? But it's very necessary for you to nurture your skill as an SDR or a BDR, right? Because you get to make those difficult calls. You get to be the first point of contact between the company and the business, right? You're the one that listens and understands what the customer's needs are. And that way, you're also building yourself and preparing yourself for the next step or the next journey, which is becoming an account manager, right? And as you move into like being an account manager, right, you start closing those deals, you start building those relationships, right? And it nurtures you into being in partnership, right? Partnership, you're not just a closer, you're not just a regular salesperson, right? You're now going into other territories like, okay, I have this product, this business has this product, we can leverage on each other's products to optimize what our customers or our clients are asking for. So it's a win-win relationship. It's more or less like a long-term relationship, right? A partner, you begin to not see yourself as, oh, I have competitors in the market, like a typical SDR or a salesperson or an account manager. You begin to see yourself as, I have partners I can work with, right, in the market, right? So while an AE can say, oh, this company is my competition, a partnership manager is seeing it as, oh, we can be partners with, we can collaborate with this company, right? They have this product, they have that product, we have this, we can collaborate and build something that can be optimized to our customers, right? In essence, build your own company's products, right? That at the end of the day is going to drive revenue for the business still, right? And also going to allow you to acquire more businesses or more clients, right? So these are the different journeys to, I don't want to use the word sales because I don't want to sound too salesy on this call, right? I'm going to say these are journeys to ensuring that being in a growth team or a revenue team, right? You just identify how can I exploit my skill set, right? How can I just take a step back and watch myself grow from beginning of the journey, which is being an SDR, to being an AE or an account manager into partnership, right? I think some people are lucky that once they join an organization, they just know where their skill sets lie, and they are just built for maybe being an account manager, being a relationship manager, right? But I always advise people, especially members of my team or people that join my team, right? It's important for you to have all skill sets because you will need it even if you're in partnership, even if you're the team lead, right, or the head of the department. At some point, you need to make those difficult cold calls, right? You need to have those difficult negotiation meetings, right?
Yeah.
And you should be ready to hear no or not the right time, right? So it's very important to have all three skill sets right? And just allow yourself transition through the journey.
Great, thank you very much. So what skills would you say have helped you in your journey so far?
Skills that has helped me that I didn't think I had. The first thing I would say is listening, right? People don't think that listening is a skill, right? But listening is very important. You need to be able to pay attention to what your clients are saying to you, right? You need to be able to, you're pretty much like a psychologist because you need to read body language. Sometimes the client is saying something, but it's something else that they're passing on to you, right? In tech sales, right? Let me bring it back home. You need to build your skill set around utilizing platforms, right? If you're coming into tech sales, data analytics is very important, right? Familiarizing yourself with CRM tools. There are a lot of them out there right now, right? Just having the basic understanding of how it works, what is required, right? Knowing how to give an elevator pitch, right? There are a couple of trainings on YouTube, on different platforms where you just never know where you meet someone and you might just need to sell yourself, right? People don't like storytellers, especially when they know that you're a salesperson. They're always very not very receptive, right? So understanding how to approach people, right? Learning how to utilize basic sales tools, right? And just listening to people, listening to needs of your prospects, right? And research is also very important, right? So you need to also be able to research on, you identify a business, right? Before you walk in there or give them that call, you need to do your research, understand what their business is about, understand the decision makers in that organization, right? Call within your network, or just there are different platforms now that can guide you through this thing, right? So it's very important to have all of these skill sets. You're muted, Dara.
All right, thank you. For some reason, I've been speaking muted in different meetings, like all through this week. But yeah, thank you for calling my attention to that. So we've spoken through the different roles in tech sales. You've mentioned from account executive to SDR to BDR to partnerships roles and whatnot. And then yeah, you've said a lot, and it's been really, really insightful so far. Next question would be, what skills would it take for someone to move through those ranks, right? More from a career progression perspective, right? How do you know when you're ready to move through the ranks? How do you know when it's time for you to step up as an SDR to an account executive? How do you know how to maybe pitch yourself or put yourself out there or have that conversation with your manager or a step up or a promotion? And what are the things that you need to do to also prepare yourself to grow through the ranks?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So how do you know you're ready for the next step or a promotion, right? If I understand you clearly. First thing you need to do is you also need to pace yourself, right? And we all have our different journeys and our different ways of approaching situation, right? So the first thing you need to do is if you want a promotion, or if you want to be in a leadership role, or you feel like you've been doing this for a while and you've been smashing your goals, being in tech sales, first of all, you need to be meeting your numbers, right? Before any leader is going to even listen to you to say, okay, I want to give you a raise, or I want to give you a promotion, some kind of compensation or recognition, right? You need to ensure that your numbers are great, your numbers are good. But that being said, right, it's not all about your numbers, right? You need to meet them, but you also need to build certain characteristics, right? You need to start by taking initiatives, right? You need to start acting like a leader, not just acting, but actually taking responsibilities, right, around the opportunity or the promotion that you're looking to, right? So in some cases, you see, oh, I'm a great salesperson. I'll be meeting my numbers every quarter, right? And the year ends, I don't get a promotion, right? Yes, you're probably just a great salesperson in one industry, right? You're working in a company where there are like 5 products or 6 products, and maybe the like different markets you can sell to, but you just decided to create a niche for yourself and sell maybe to one particular client that just makes you're lucky not to have a client that just makes you meet your numbers on a quarterly basis. That's not sufficient. And that does not necessarily make you a great salesperson, right? Because that is even risky for you and risky for the company, right? So you also need to build yourself around the kind of network you have, the kind of pipeline you have, the kind of initiatives that you've been able to influence in the company, right? How have you been able to lead certain conversations that have led to progression of the business, right? What sales processes have you been able to optimize within your role and your capacity, right? So these are other initiatives that you also need to take, right? And you also need to evaluate yourself, right? So I do something where, I mean, every tech salesperson hates CRM or any CRM, like being reminded to updates, following up, and all that, right? So what I do is on the side, I just track myself. So, okay, these are my low hanging, these are the long term, right? These are initiatives I want to come up with and map them to the industry or the clients that will benefit from it, right? Pitch those ideas to the leaders or the stakeholders, either from the engineering team or the product team, right? Align with everybody and try and ensure that, I mean, your voice will be heard when you're coming up with a solution that will be beneficial to not just the organization or also the clients, right? So when you begin to show yourself that you're not just a deal closer, you're also impactful, and you're also making processes easier for the company and also the client, right? You have a better case, right? And in those kind of scenarios, you don't even need to go to negotiate with your boss, right? That, oh, I deserve a promotion, right? Or I deserve a raise. Is a no-brainer for that to happen.
Rightly said. I think the thing about tech sales is that when you're doing your job, when you're hitting your targets, it shows. Sales is one role where you really cannot hide. If you're doing the work, you're doing the work. If you're not doing the work, you're not doing the work. It really shows. Thanks,
Yeah.
Ibifaa. So what would you say are some challenges from your experience that you faced when you were climbing the ladder? And how can people overcome those challenges?
One of the challenges I faced climbing the ladder was I was a local champion. Right. So I was, I mean, I was a closer, right? And I thought that was enough, right? And because I was a closer, let me give you an example. So I had the opportunity of closing a big deal for an oil and gas business, right? It was actually very easy for me to close that deal. A big company, right? But somehow I was able to navigate it, and it's sales cycle that would have taken maybe a year to close. It took me about 3 months, and I was very proud. Like, I did this, right? And I went to my manager at the time. I was like, oh, I want to start covering more regions, more responsibilities, blah blah blah, because I thought I was ready, right? They're like, okay, take oil and gas, take FMCG, and run with it. I didn't realize that that deal I closed was just a one-off in that sector. The other clients or prospects within that sector was going to be a, will I say, long thing, a long conversation, right? And of course, when you're working on like your sales strategy, building your pipe, projecting timelines to close, And like, okay, I closed this within 3 months, so these other guys should take similar time, right? And you begin to engage and realize that this is a 6 months journey, some 8 months journey, some 1 year journey. And if you're in sales, you know that you're as good as your last deal closed, right? No one remembers you after your last deal that you closed. So for me, it was a wake up call, right? At the end of the day, success. I was able to navigate through the difficult times, right? Because it was now you wanted this sector, so what's happening here, right? You're able to close this client. Why can't you close these other clients? And no one really cares about the activity that goes behind the scene, right? When you're engaging, what everyone cares about is you're just a storyteller until you close that deal, right? So it was an interesting experience for me, right? And it just made me build my relationship management skills with internal stakeholders and also manage my expectation with clients and how to prospect better.
Thank you very much. I think you said something that made me remember a couple of instances where I've seen sales professionals make a one-hit wonder, in the sense where probably you close an enterprise deal one time and you think, okay, it would always work out this way, but it doesn't, right? What processes, or have you been able to build processes that have been successful and can be replicated? Because I think the success of a process is that, or a sales playbook is that it can be replicated and people would get success to a certain extent. So how have you been able to build processes, and what processes have you put in place to make sure that your success in sales could be replicated?
One thing I've done that has worked for me is not a one size fits all, right? In the sense that yes, you might be selling one product, right? But the approach you can align or use the same process or the same strategy for every business or every client that you engage, right? So the first process is understanding your market segments, right? Understanding your target market, right? And building up on that, right? The second step is don't overestimate yourself, if I can put it that way, right? In sales, we tend to overpromise and under-deliver, right? While that can work out sometimes, but it's very important for you to be realistic, right? And also pace yourself in the entire process. And the other thing that has also worked for me is I utilize tools a lot, right? Interesting enough, now we have a lot of AI tools that can even help you with prospecting better, right? So instead of you running around and looking for contacts here and there, right? There are tools now you can utilize to optimize that process for yourself, right? And just take advantage of data available to you, right? Now, in terms of processes, right, you need to understand that there should be a sales cycle, right? You can't jump from cold calling to negotiation, right? You need to understand that there's an entire process, engagement. You build that engagement that leads into negotiating or contracting, right? And an actual close, right? You mentioned being a one-time wonder, right? And that happens when people do not build processes around relationship management, right? So you've closed that deal and it's very easy for people to move on to the next one, right? A lot of times when you do that, you're not building your relationship management skills. You're not utilizing relationship management platforms, right? And more often than not, when you go back to that client that you abandoned for 2 months, right, it is difficult for you to manage that kind of relationship. So it's very important to build upon relationships that have led you to where you are, right? And just continue to progress from there, right? In my own case, I won't say it's shortcut, but what has really worked out for me, right? Repeat business, right? Existing clients, existing relationships, right? And it wasn't a 1 month relationship. It's relationships that I had managed or built or developed over time. It takes effort, it takes time, right? But it's at the end of the day, that's why I mentioned consultative selling earlier, right? You just nurture those relationships, because sometimes those repeat businesses, right, they turn into referrals for you as well, right? But if you don't have the right tools in place, right, to guide you through, right, if you don't have the right tools to remind you when to check in on the client, when to send that email or that reminder or that happy birthday message, right, or coming up with new product initiatives you want to discuss with them and so on, you always be chasing the new guy, right? And forget that they're actually old guys that can take you to your promised land, which is, of course, to meet your numbers, right? So essentially, you just need to allow yourself go through the journey and not be a one-time closer, essentially.
All right, that's great. So you've spoken about a time where you thought you were ready for an opportunity or a bigger opportunity, right? Because of the deal that you had closed, right? Now let's talk about a time where maybe a new responsibility or a new opportunity you took on significantly accelerated your career.
A new opportunity I took on that accelerated my career. It accelerated my career into being a leader, actually, right? Was so of course I was trying to sell to a client. I had my products, they had their problem. I wanted to solve their problem with my products, and I realized that they wanted some modifications to my products, right? And of course, as a salesperson, I don't want to lose that deal, right? I don't want to, I've invested a lot of time chasing, and they are coming up with feature requests like customers will always do, right? And I had to go back to my product team, engineering team, and say, look, this is what this client wants. We have to do it all because I've already promised them that it is possible, right? We have to figure out how we'll get it done. Now, because I was hell-bent on closing that opportunity, right? I had to start developing my leadership skill, right? In the sense that I had to start taking initiative, right? Building the product strategy, the product roadmap, right? Initially was supposed to be, okay, this client wants this. We will do this for this client. I will champion the entire conversation, getting the product guys, project managers, engineering team that will work on it, come up with timelines to deliver it to them, right? Realistic timelines, of course, to deliver it to them, right? And just ensure that everyone was doing what they needed to do. So I stepped away from being a salesperson to being a product coordinator, right? And chasing down engineering guys. It was very insightful for me. It kind of taught me how to nurture, to lead people pretty much, right? And successfully that was rolled out, right? And in that process, I didn't realize that at the time my managers were paying attention to what was going on. Of course, during sales meeting, like, oh, you're still chasing these guys. Oh, okay. Right. But they were paying attention to how I was able to handle the entire circle of this particular client. Right. And we went live with them. And I was like, you know what? If these guys needed this, it means there's a problem in this particular industry, in this particular sector. And this can be replicated for similar businesses in this region. Right. This is a product that never existed. Right. Wasn't even something that we're looking to, but because of this particular client, we're able to build this, right, deploy it. And why don't we introduce this to businesses within this space, and it became a new product in the market, right? Now, becoming a new product, it was a no-brainer that it was Ibifaa's initiative, right? Ibifaa identified the engineers to work on this. Ibifaa identified the product guys to work on this. She understands the market that needs this thing, right? And that's how I slowly transitioned into let's say, team lead role, right? And of course, when you do things like that, it's very typical for the business to put it on you, like, take this, run with it. It's now your baby, right? And that's literally how I got into leading a team and managing certain industry verticals.
All right, great. I think some things to note from there is taking initiative, definitely being proactive, watching out for business opportunities, yes. And like you said, when you start functioning in that capacity as a leader, it's easier for you to move into that space because the necessary people see the work and the inputs that you're putting in. So you don't necessarily have to wait till you're in that space to function as a leader. Okay, on to the next question, right? From your point of view, how important is it to specialize in certain types of products or industries long term for career growth?
How important is it for you to focus on certain sectors?
Yeah, do you think it affects your career growth in tech sales, whether you decide to specialize or be a generalist or focus on one product or focus on one industry as opposed to going broad?
So I'll use myself as an example.
Yeah.
Right. I'll say that it's very important for you to, or it's necessary for you to go broad, right? Especially in tech sales, right? Because I mean, tech has taken over the world right now, right? And there are different aspects to tech, right? You can be in, of course, you can be in one company and grow through the ranks, right? And become a leader, right? And you can even decide to become a founder on your own, right? That is not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? So it's not something that you can achieve within a year or two, right? So when you find yourself in tech sales, it's important for you to just pace yourself and allow yourself learn through the process, right? In some organizations, right, especially organizations I've worked in, you join a team of salespeople, different within sales, there are departments, right? There are different people selling different things. You can be hired to sell maybe one product, right? You can do that for some time. I would advise that while you do that, you should also learn other products, especially for product-led companies, companies that are fast-paced and come up with innovative ideas, right? It's important for you to also allow yourself learn within the organization, right? And see where your strengths are, and you grow from there. In some cases, you might get frustrated that you're not growing as fast as you want to, right? But I mean, your experience is your experience. No one can ever take that away from you, right? So it's very necessary to pace yourself, learn as much as you can. Your company can be selling just one product in the market, but I mean, there are several other organizations out there. Learn about what they're doing, the solutions that they are coming up with, right? How is being able to solve problems out there, right? And I like to say, don't be a local champion or a king in your community when there's something bigger happening out in the world, right? One day you might be thrown in the deep end, so you need to be able to know how to navigate and how to swim. That's exactly what makes you a great tech salesperson, right? You can be selling fintech solutions today, tomorrow you're selling SaaS, right? Or you're selling cybersecurity or AI or something like that, right? So it's necessary for you to be broad in your tech sales journey.
All right, thank you very much. So from your experience working in different tech companies, right, how would you describe the path to leadership? would you say that in certain companies is a lot shorter or longer than certain companies? And what makes that distinction for you? Could it be that from your experience, you've noticed that, okay, maybe it's easier to bring a startup or a mid-sized business as opposed to, a bigger business or a bigger tech company? What has the dynamics been like from your perspective?
So typically, if you join a big company, that already has market share, market presence, a leading company in the industry, right? And you're a newbie, it's harder for you to grow in a sense, right? You can grow within the organization. You can get like your promotions here and there, your salary increases here and there. But when it comes to career, the next level in your career, right, it might be slower for you, right? So what I always advise people is take advantage of, because those bigger companies have the tools that you can actually learn from,
True.
right? They have the processes that you can actually utilize or gain that experience that you need to gain out of it, right? But don't limit yourself, right? And if you find yourself in a smaller space where you can now begin to explore more opportunities, or you begin to see yourself, I mean, smaller organizations like startups, you are a one-man show to an extent, right?
Yeah.
So when you see yourself in those environments, because you've already been in an environment that you were able to learn processes, policies, regulatory requirements, all of those things, right? You can now take on those experiences into a smaller environment that you can thrive in, right? And in the process of doing that, you shouldn't also see yourself as, okay, I've arrived, right? Because the moment you start thinking you have arrived, that's when you start to fail, right? And you just need to always be ready, right, to take on new challenges, right, and learn from them and grow from them, right? In some cases, you can actually just be in a bigger organization and just stay there, grow, transition into other departments like I did, right? And just explore what comes with that opportunity, right? In some cases, some people might not get that opportunity. You go into a smaller environment where you begin to see challenges in your face, right? You begin to relate directly with the CEO and you're seeing like real challenges in your face, like you're not hiding, nobody's shielding you, right? And you start to develop those entrepreneurship skill sets, right? Because if you're joining a startup, you have to see it as you own the business as well, right?
Yeah.
So you should be able to learn how to roll up your sleeve. I mean, maybe if you work with an enterprise or a bigger organization, for you to thrive, you also have to see the business as it's yours, right? But it's very easy for you to just get lost in the system as compared to a smaller organization.
Yeah, I think that's really true. Really, really true. How long, in your opinion, or what is the view of a healthy career journey in your opinion? Would you say probably year-on-year growth for an SDR? What would be a measure of a healthy, career growth path for a tech sales professional?
So I want to give people KPIs now.
Well, that could work. That could work.
So I would say if you want to grow through the ranks, so let's start with SDRs, right? I would, personal advice, right? I would advise you give yourself a 1 year pace, right? I mean, this is my own advice, right? Give yourself 1 year, maybe 12 to 18 months within that role, right? And after your year one, you should begin to put yourself out there to become an actual closer, which is an account manager, right? What you need to start doing is at this point you're shadowing the AEs or the account managers and learning how they go through that negotiation, contract review process, and how the skill set behind just closing a deal, right? And from there, you can start taking up maybe smaller deals to close, right? Because some AEs or account managers do not want you to overstep, right? So you need to figure out how to now start taking those, closing those smaller deals or shadowing them or just building those skill sets behind being an AE, right? And once you transition into that role, and in most cases, your line manager doesn't even need you to come and convince them that you want to go into that role. They begin to see that you are now closing deals, right? Maybe you close a 10K deal here and there, a 20K deal here and there, right? Everybody wants a closer on their team, right? And you transition into that role. Now, being an AE, of course, you have to be an AE before you become an account manager, right? You can pace yourself 18 months, 2 years, right? There are different levels to being an AE, right? Some companies have AE 1, 2, 3. Some people just have AEs, enterprise or mid-markets or SMBs, depending on where you find yourself, right? So just if you find yourself in an organization that has it broken down, right, you begin to just explore all of it. Are you an enterprise AE, mid-market, or SMB? Or don't say, oh, I'm in enterprise, so if I see an SMB opportunity, it's none of my business, right? That wouldn't make you a great salesperson or a great account manager, right? So you should be able to now just take up all of these opportunities and pace yourself another 2 years, right? And now you want to transition into partnership, right? Which typically everybody wants to be in partnership, right? Because partnership doesn't necessarily have quota to close deals, right? You're just identifying products or business relationships or channel partners that you can work with in a nutshell, right? So now you're not just closing, right? You're managing those relationships. So you now need to start building or maintaining relationships with your clients. You close that deal, you're not running away, right? You're engaging them, right? You're nurturing them. You become a founder in their company as well, right? You're now an entrepreneur managing 10 businesses, right? And wishing 10 clients happy birthday, right? Picking their calls when they need support issues and not telling them, oh, log it on support portal. Yes, they have to, but just listening to problems, right? And turning them into your personal problems, right? And you transition into partnership. And there's no need rushing it. If you don't think you're there yet, allow yourself get there so you don't get burnt out.
Thank you very much, Ibifaa, and thanks everyone for still staying on the call. Before we proceed, I would like to call our representative from IBS Consulting. We have Shalkai Yakubu on the call with us. Like I said earlier, she's with us all the way from Ghana, and she'll be talking to us about IBS Consulting. We actually partnered with them to offer services to sales professionals, basically training services. They have a range of training services for professionals who are looking to be leaders in the field, which is very much in line with what we're talking about today. So Shalkai, you have the floor. Please come on board. You can unmute your mic and then speak, talk to us about ideas and how we can benefit from it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Like Dara said, my name is Shalkia. I'm Director of Sales for IBS Consulting, and I am glad to be here today. I believe we've learned a lot from our speaker today, and as salespeople, it's very important that the learning never stops. So that's one thing that I'm sure we are all aware of. So I'll just go straight to the point since I have just a few minutes. So IBS Consulting is a career and education consultancy that helps people make their dreams a reality. We basically started with education consultancy, helping people apply to their dream schools and making sure that we put together documents that represents them on paper in their truest form. So yes, you work so hard, you build a profile, you get all your educational qualifications, you graduate with distinction, you have great work experience with achievements. IBS comes in, we put together very good SOPs, your scholarship essays, so recommendation letters for you to get into your dream schools, and it's easier to sell you objectively since you've already done all the hard work. So that's basically what we do in terms of education. When it comes to career, we help you get to where you want to get to, maybe in the next 2-3 years. What we do is to look at a career strategy for each client, discuss what the goals are for the next few years, few months, whatever your goal is, and then look at ways to help you get there. For the career services, it's a bit limited because most of our clients ideally are not in Africa, and just because it's easier for us to help them achieve their dreams. Unfortunately, this is the reality. We help them achieve their dreams when their locations are not Africa, because most companies like to invest in people who are closer to them. So for education, most of our clients come from Africa just because people are moving from this part of the world to study abroad, to do their MBAs, their marketing courses and all that. So this is a summary of what we do. Depending on what the client's needs are, we will come up or tailor a solution. If you want to enter into an Ivy League school, we can discuss ways to get there. We can look at how we can position you in a way that makes you an ideal client. We also do LinkedIn optimization. A lot of people, especially when you are doing sales, you should understand the importance of having very good LinkedIn page, because there are lots of opportunities that can come through there. A lot of people will look you up first of all on your LinkedIn, because I think that it's like the most popular app in when you look at applications, you can look people on professionally. So this is a summary of what we do. I'll be open to any questions you have. We have 30 minutes free consultations that we give out to clients or potential clients, let me say, who would like to have a conversation and have an idea of what we can do to help. So solutions will be tailored. So we also do job packages where we partner with agencies to get people jobs to migrate, but they are very limited jobs. We have health professionals like nurses and all that. So that will be like a big outside what this community does, but I just wanted to share that as well. So thank you very much for having me. That's IBS. I also forgot to mention that we started this company in Canada. So it was first registered in Canada. We've been working for over 5 years with over 3,000 clients under our belt with a 98% success rate. And we keep going. We have one office in Ghana, and we are looking to expand in Nigeria well with our rep there, who's Toby. So thank you very much for having me. And I hope to do this into details some other time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shalkia. So just to be clear for everyone on the call, I think the most two important services that our members can benefit from would be the LinkedIn optimization and then the SOP for people who are looking to further their studies abroad, right?
Yeah, essentially, but then it's not just the documents. We can do the entire application with you as a team. So it's always better when we take charge of every document. For instance, we've had clients from Nigeria. We have helped get into Ivy League schools. We had worked with a client last year who got into all the schools that we applied to, and they are all top schools globally in for her MBA. So it helps when we take over the whole application and we are working with you as a team. Yeah, so that's basically it.
All right, thank you very much. I just wanted to provide more clarity around that. So for everyone who is interested in this, we'll be sharing more details on this in the community. So if this is something you're looking at LinkedIn optimization, or you're looking at furthering your studies abroad, and you want a company that can help you handle the entire application process, we'll drop more details on our Slack channel Please check the chat box if you're not already a part of TSP community. Please check the chat box, join our channel on Slack, and then our community on Slack, and then stay tuned for updates from ideas. So yes, thank you very much, Shaukia. Back to Ibifaa. Thank you very much for holding on. Nice to have you back, Ibifaa. Are you still with us?
I'm still here.
All right, thank you, thank you. So yes, what advice do you have for someone in tech sales who wants to transition into a more strategic consultative sales role? As you mentioned at the time, or that this time, that your role at PayU is a more consultative sales role, right? So if someone wants to transition over time into that, what advice would you have for them?
So you have to start seeing yourself as a consultative salesperson from day one, especially if you want to play in the tech sales, let's say department or sector, right? So if it's tech sales is not typically how you would see other sales roles, right? So it's not a thing of, okay, I have to push products out there, right? I would anyhow I'll find one client or I'll find one business. Yes, that can happen, right? But tech sales requires you to have a bit of consultative selling in your approach from day one, right? And that's how you begin to build strategies. You begin to understand business use cases better, right? You're selling products, right? You're selling product that you actually see it's real. People are using it, right? You're not just selling, oh, I'm selling like I'm selling a bottle, right? Selling a digital solution, right? So you need to have selling skills from day one. You need to be able to be a strategic thinker, right? And you need to also have a bit of product ideas, right? And you can't wait for you to get into leadership position before you can start building upon those skill sets. It has to be from the moment you realize or you see yourself in that environment, right? There has to be a mind shift, right? And people say tech sales comes with a personality. It actually has a personality, right? And that personality comes from a place where, I mean, you are a founder as well. So if you think about successful founders, like startup founders, the majority of the successful ones have actually been from tech sales, right?
Yeah.
Because they know how it is. They know what the problem is out there. They know how to identify their market segment, right? They know, like, it's not about anybody can build a product and put it in the market, right? 1 million people can be selling the same product or building the same product, right? But what sets you apart? Like, how do you stand out? And which is one thing that tech salespeople can do best, right? For example, right now there are like 200 PSPs, right? A lot of PSPs selling payments. Where are the clients? How many people want to? How many gateways do any business typically use? Right? You can't say, oh, this space is now tough. Too many PSPs, too many days. So this is where consultative selling comes in, right? This is where relationship management comes in, right? And this is part of the personality that comes with being in tech sales.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think there is a very tight relationship between entrepreneurship and sales. And that's why to be a good salesperson, you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. And in fact, a lot of hiring managers and a lot of startup founders that are hiring, they tend to pick for sales roles, they tend to pick people who have been entrepreneurs. You ran a small business, you did something. It's just that mindset of, building something or owning something and taking it to the market and selling, because selling is really, really tough. So there's that mindset, that entrepreneurial mindset is really, really important. And to succeed in sales, you have to have it. You need to see what you're selling as yours, really. So thank you very much for that, Ibifaa. Our next question will be, what are some key factors that determine whether someone will be successful in advancing to leadership position in tech sales?
One thing I've seen, I mean, from being a leader, from leading a team, and over the years, one thing I've been able to identify amongst like people within my team and even outside is, I mean, people say, oh, I want to join sales because the commissions are nice, commissions are interesting. Right, but that should not be the only factor that drives you into tech sales. Right, it has to be, do you enjoy identifying businesses? Do you enjoy engaging people? Right? Is it the money that is driving you? Is this your last resort? It should not be your last resort, right? It should be something that you should be intentional about it. It shouldn't be that, oh, everybody's in tech now, so I want to enter tech, right? If you're not working in a tech company, you're not, don't hang out with us or don't come close to us, because tech people can be very, I mean, it can be kind of like a show off.
Exactly what Kimberly said. To be honest, some people, money drives them and it works for them because they close deals. they just want their money.
Right, they can show off, right? And you'll be like, these guys, when back in the day, when you see oil worker, like, oil and gas, this is where life is, right? So everybody wants to work in an oil company. Before then, it was banking. Oh, everybody wants to. Now the hit thing is everybody wants to be in tech. That, I don't think that should be the reason why you should join tech sales, or you want to use that as an opportunity to get into the tech space, right? You should be very intentional about it, right? Because you can go in and get burnt out. To be honest, forget the background and the show off and all the beautiful things that you see out there. It's crazy inside, right? And you can easily get burnt out, right? And it might not even meet your expectation if you come with that mindset that, oh, I'm about to blow up, right? It should be something that you really want to do, and you should have that entrepreneurship or founder mindset. That's how you can be successful in tech sales.
All right, thank you. So still on the topic of leadership, right? Some people make great individual or independent contributors. Other people make great managers. What are the distinctions that stand these two group of people out, right? We've seen cases where people are amazing salespeople, but then they're terrible managers. Or they're great managers and coaches, but terrible salespeople. So, what is the distinction between, these two, and what stands people out for each of them?
So there's one thing I say to people, and I also learned this on my journey, is not everybody is built for leadership, right? Not everybody is built to lead a team or be a manager. Some people perform best when they are an individual contributor, right? Some people naturally just know how to lead people. It's the same way how in our homes, right? We expect that the firstborn is going to be the leader, and the lastborn is the one that just sleeps and wakes up to eat, right? In a nutshell, that's literally how it is, right? Now, some people say, oh, I've been an individual contributor, I've been meeting my targets. Oh, this person is now a leader, they're not even meeting half of what I've done, so I want to be a leader. You go in there you don't even have the relevant skill set to be a leader, and you begin to suffer, right? When I mean suffer, you begin to you're not able to even meet those deals that you would have been able to win. You're not even able to do them anymore, right? You've not built yourself to understand people, to nurture people, right? To guide people, to be a mentor to people, right? But because you've been meeting targets, so yes, I want to be a team lead. I'm now ready to manage people. Oh, give me 2 or 3 members, and I want 2, 3 or 3 people to work with my. If you're not built for it, you're not built for it, right? And more often than not, you need to take a step back and go through those necessary leadership trainings, right? That will guide you to achieving that, right?
Yeah.
So I've had people on my team that have said to look, you are a closer, but you're not ready to be a leader, right? You're not, I mean, they take you, or some of them probably take me to church and pray, right? I've also
So
had,
you're one of those bosses that'll be like, you're not ready to be a leader. Come back when you've taken XYZ courses.
yeah, because I mean, there's some, I've had situations where, right, where I expected to get anything and I didn't get it, right? At that moment, I was sad, angry for maybe 6 months or more, right?
Yeah.
But then again, when I think back, I was like, actually, I was not ready for this thing. Because being a leader is beyond just leading people. You will listen to family problems, right? Like you are literally like a parent. People will come to you for things that you might not be, that you might think, oh, this is not part of the job, right? But mentally it's affecting them and it's affecting their performance, right? And you also need to build that, like you also need to build that, let's say, be a psychologist, right? And we have different behaviors, especially if you're dealing with Nigerians, right? We have different type of human beings, like different type of people. You need to be able to balance it out, like know each person's strength on your team, right? So there are different aspects to just saying, oh, I want to be a manager, I want to be this, I want to be that. And when you see yourself that you have all of these skill set and you are on it, right? You just need to see yourself as a mentor, because members of your team are also looking up to you to
Yeah.
guide them, to protect them, to direct them, right? And some people like, oh, I don't like I hear sometimes when people tell me, oh, I like it when the members of my team do not like each other, they perform better.
Oh, I've
I'm
heard
like,
that. I've heard that too.
like, I like it when they are not on the same page, they perform. Like, how? Why? Like, it's, for me, that doesn't work for me, right? So I always make sure that if you're on my team, healthy competition, right? You know A, someone knows B, you align and figure it out. There's life outside the workplace, right?
Sure.
I have built today, the relationships I build, I have that are very solid, are people that I met on the job, right? People in tech sales, we tend to compete a lot, right? And forget that tomorrow you'll see yourself somewhere and you'll be able to say, oh, I know this person, oh, let's have a drink, right? So you just need to be able to figure out how to navigate it all.
Great.
And it's not always about the money. Yes, we have bills to pay, but it's not
You've been
always about,
stressing that it's not all about the money. I think it's really important.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So for people then looking to transition into leadership role, because for me, I always keep a flexible mindset on things, right? Some people might not be originally built for it, but I always believe that you can learn and then train to be better at it. So what are some advice that you give to people who are looking to transition into leadership roles at some point in their career?
So when you find yourself in that opportunity where you see yourself like, okay, you're going to be a leader, I always advise, whether or not the company trains you on leadership skills or takes you leadership trainings or coaching, right? It's important for you to also coach yourself, like go on trainings, right? Maybe a training course online, or meet other leaders, figure out how they were able to do it over the years, how they are doing it, how it's working out for them, right? So it's very important for you to continue to build those skill sets as you get along on that leadership pyramid, right? When you get into leadership roles, you begin to relate with different kinds of people on different levels, right? Immediately you climb into, I am now a leader, right? There's no going back. You continue from there and you continue to meet different kinds of people along the way, right? So there's now that thing of continuous learning, right? Continuous mentoring, coaching people. And before you can mentor and coach people, you also need to build yourself, right? They say you cannot give what you don't have, right? You cannot point to somebody when you don't have anything to even keep yourself together, right? So it's very important that once you get to into that leadership position, it becomes you're now a teacher, right? Your people are looking up to you at that point. So there has to be continuous learning for you, right? Continuous guidance for members of your team, right? Because it never ends. Today you like Dara. Dara is on your team. Dara is fantastic. Tomorrow Dara gets a job somewhere or she leaves. She gets someone else that might not be as half as fantastic as Dara, right? And you start having challenge with that person. But if you constantly or consistently build up on your leadership skill set, right, you'll be able to like navigate through it all. And I mean, there's always levels to being a leader, from one level to another level, and before you know it, you're managing an entire company, right? And carrying an entire company's revenue on your head, and also having to listen to members of your team on the other side, right? So yeah.
All right, great. So as we wrap up, I'll bring my questions to a close, right? You said in the initial stages of our conversation that, you stumbled on tech sales, right? So at this point, if you had to choose, would you choose tech sales over again? Like at the point you could gotten to, if you had to choose, would you do it over again? Or would you do something else instead? And if you were not doing tech sales, what would it be?
If I was not doing tech sales, what would I have been doing? If I wasn't doing tech sales, I'll probably be in products, like core products, full time, right? Because I mean, in the course of being in tech sales, I've done like products here and there, right? So within the tech environment, I would have been doing products. If I wasn't working in tech sales at all, or if I wasn't working in tech at all, what was the other question? If I wasn't in tech at all.
Or if you had to do it over again, would you?
If I had to do it over again, I mean, the cliche response would be yes. So for me personally, right, I would say I got into the environment at the point where I think I needed to. I used to be a very shy person, right? I used to be that child that I would lock myself up in the room and just don't let nobody talk to me. When I was in uni, team presentations and you have to stand in front of the class and give your pitch. I was that team member that, okay, the project work, we're in this group, I will do it, you present it, right? But somehow I saw myself in it, and I'm here 10 years down the line. So to answer your question, yes, I will do it again. I will do it again because I've met some of the most amazing people on the job by being colleagues or being a client. Some of my clients are now very close friends of mine, right? I have had the opportunity to travel to some really, really amazing countries on the job, right? That I just thought, some of us, we just have, holiday destination. But there are some countries like, that's not a holiday destination. You get there, you realize that, oh, wow, there's an entire world going on here, right? And that has been possible because of the job, right? I've been able to see businesses grow, right? Products that are being used in the markets. There's this joy that you walk into your client's office or a business run by your client and you see that they're using your solution, right? There's just something behind it that kind of feel like, I sold that product to them. That's what they are using, right? There's this joy that comes with it, right? So yes, I'll do it again. If I was not in sales at all, right? If I wasn't in tech at all, I would have probably been a photographer.
Really, that's interesting. Really interesting. That's nice. That's really nice. Okay, thank you very much, Ibifaa, for your time. Before we go, we'll do quick question and answer session. So if anybody has question for Ibifaa, please raise up your virtual hands. I will bring you up on stage and then you ask your questions. So let's go.
Question time.
Do we have any questions, please? All right, Mercy Ifoma, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Ibifaa, for the presentation. I mean, I had a lot of questions, but with Dara's questions, I think you've answered like 99% of all the questions I had lined up. But I just have one more question. For someone in tech sales, what would you advise in terms of career growth? I mean, I wanted to also ask about at what point do you think you get into leadership roles and the career growth in tech sales? But the question now is, when it comes to, let's say, courses, certifications, masters, or whatnot, what would you advise someone in the tech sales space to pursue for someone that just has a degree? Like, what area do you think, or would you advise them to focus on that would benefit them more? Not just doing things to fulfill all righteousness, but things that would, they'll benefit from, and not just waste their money. So I think that would be my first question. The second question would be, at what point would you advise someone who's into tech sales to start considering leadership roles? At what point in their career, or like at what point do you think they should consider, leadership roles? I think that would be my second question. And also, what are the opportunities, aside wanting to be a team lead in your organization, what other thing can you do higher than what you're currently doing that doesn't necessarily have to be managing a team? Yeah.
So let me just recap your questions. Your first question is, what kind of trainings or courses can you take to advance within your tech sales career? Right?
Yes, and yes. Maybe the programs, so not just, maybe is it best to do an MBA, get a master's, just everything that has to do with you trying to upgrade your skills and upgrade yourself as a person. Yeah.
Let me take your first question, right?
All right.
So personally, this is me, right? I don't have an MBA, right? I only have a BSc with a bunch of certifications and courses I've done over the years, right? Now, this is in my own personal experience, right? That being said, there are people that like to go to school. I don't like school, right? And anything that's going to take my time for more than 6 months, like I struggle with it, especially as I get older. It's tough, right? However, while you're doing tech sales, while you're here, there are courses that you can take, right? I can share a few. One of the courses that I took that actually helped me in my journey is Miller Hyman. Miller Hyman has certain trainings, right? So there is the sales methodology training, there is the consultative selling training, there is the how to lead a team training. There's a book I read recently about the principles of selling, right? 80-20 rule. Those kind of books can actually help you build yourself, right? And you can take a step further. If your organization does not sponsor certain trainings or courses for you, right, you can just look into investing in maybe $500, or let me bring it down a little, maybe 200K, 300K here and there on courses. And there are also cheaper ones on Udemy, Coursera, and the likes, right? If you just want to, someone is saying I should drop, maybe you might have to rewatch this recording. All right, so I can drop some, I don't mind, right? You can even go on YouTube as well, right? Listen to, I watch podcasts. Sometimes when I have a difficult sales, maybe presentation, right, I'm a bit anxious, I just watch a podcast or maybe a CEO pitching to people, right? Direct or indirectly, your subconscious begins to pick up some skill sets that you can also utilize, right? So there is a Miller Hyman. Right? Mila Hyman has several trainings on sales, right? So principles of selling, qualitative selling, how to pitch, elevator pitch, all of those things, right? Some of them are like 4 weeks courses, 2 weeks. He also has like practice sessions you can explore. Then of course, I mean, books are there available for you too, right? And outside tech sales, right? You also need to understand that within being a salesperson, you also need to build your data analytical skills, because without data, you cannot manage your relationships with your clients better, right? You need to be able to give your clients insights. What day of the week do they have to the processing? If you're in transaction processing industry, right? Do they transact the most? If you're in the SaaS space, right? What time of the month do they pay for subscription or whatever it is that you're charging them for, right? So data analytics is also very key for you, right? To allow you make informed decision that would help you be a better salesperson, right? You might also want to explore that as well, right? Build up on your Excel skills, build up on your PowerPoint skills, build up on your. Recently, I learned Power BI, right? Right. I learned Power BI. I learned SQL. Right. So my data analytics team will not be playing with me when I ask them for data. Right. And sometimes when you're talking to your client and you show them data, they see that, okay, you really understand their business. Things like that help. Right. So you might also want to explore those kind of courses or trainings as well. There are a lot of them now out there. Just pick the one like you align with, right? You can take that up. So what's your next question? Pardon me. I'm getting to my slow time.
No problem. It's like I even have a third one. But anyways, let me just drop this one before the second question because it's still related to the first question. So do you think not getting, let's say someone is like you, they don't have things to go and be doing MBA or master, something like that, and they're doing a lot of courses here and there. Do you think it has a way of limiting them from getting leadership roles in like other companies or even in your present company? Do you think if there's an opportunity for them to put you in a position where you be a leader, they wouldn't consider it because they feel like you don't have a higher degree?
In my opinion, not at all. Right? In my opinion, not at all. I think the world is moving on from what piece of paper you have as a degree. Right? There are people that study engineering today, they're in sales. Right. So we're moving. I mean, technology is getting us to that environment where people do not really care about what you really studied, is what you can actually do, right? With the opportunity that is in front of you. Right. So if you want to begin to take like leadership positions, what have you done that makes you the ideal candidate for that position, for that role? How have you been impactful? Not just, oh, I'm meeting deals, I'm closing deals, I'm meeting my quota every month and all of that. What else have you done to make you a good leader or to present your case as a leader, right? So if the end goal for you is to become a sales manager or to become a sales lead, then you need to start coming up with initiatives, right? You need to start championing certain conversations, certain processes, certain rules, right? You need to start mentoring new hires. Like that's the easiest way to even start, right? New joiners, training them, guiding them, right? Your peers, right? Providing support where they need support, right? When you find yourself in a position to speak up, right? I always say once you see an opportunity, take advantage of it, right? Because even the CEO has a target, CEO has KPIs. right? Nobody's going to blow your trumpet if you don't, right? So you should be able to, when you find yourself in that environment, sometimes it's a difficult one, but at the end of the day, it is your career, right? It's your career. Nobody's going to tell you, oh, come, Messi, I love you so much, come and take this, right? You need to blow your trumpet. You need to speak when you have the opportunity. And if the opportunity is not here, find a way to create it for yourself, right? And trust me, people would notice it, people would see it, and you will grow. Your name will begin to come up in rooms that, I mean, you don't even know that that meeting is happening, right? Sometimes you don't even know that meeting is going on, right? So that's, for me, that has what, I mean, that has helped me, right? And I've seen that also help people, right? And I'm not saying start championing calls all the time in the meeting when everybody says no that comment and you want to make a comment when people just want to end the call. No, but right, there are strategic ways to ensuring that, I mean, whatever you have to say is something of relevance at the end of the day. And trust me, it's you, we always notice these things.
All right. So I think you already answered my third question with the answers you gave for the second. It was just more of, at what point do you think you improve? But I think you.
Messi, you're breaking. Is it me or you? Oh, yeah, you're breaking up, please.
Mercy, the line is breaking up on your end. But please, could you wrap up your last question because of time? Mercy, we still can't hear you. Let's say today is not your lucky day. We still can't hear you. All right. So while we wait for Mercy's internet to be back, I've pinned Ibifaa's profile, the link to our LinkedIn URL. On the top of the chat box, please connect with her. If you have questions, more questions, like Mercy, you probably might not be able to, ask a question on this call, unfortunately, because of time. But you could always reach out and then, you could ask your question. Thank you so much, Ibifaa, for deciding to spend your evening with us. We really appreciate it. I know we're far past time by 9 minutes, but thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you, everyone on the call. Do enjoy the rest of your night and join us next month. We have a session coming up on Friday, which is tomorrow. Please join in. Thank you very, very much, everyone. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye.